The aim of this solitaire is to create 3 rows of royal families. Row 1 contains the Jack families, row 2 the Queen's families, and row 3 the King's families. As can be seen, 2 well-shuffled decks without the jokers are required for this solitaire. Then, as shown, deal 3 rows of 8 cards side by side and face up. After dealing the 3 family rows, deal a 4th, so-called feather row of 8 cards that will eventually need to be moved card by card to one of the other 3 rows to gradually build up family groups. The aim of this solitaire is to stack 3 numbered cards and a picture in each of the spaces of rows 1 to 3. The base cards of row 1 are the 2s, followed by the 5s and 8s, and capped with the jacks. Row 2 has 3s, 6s, 9s and queens, while row 3 accommodates the 4s, 7s, 10s and kings. These are examples of jacks, queens and kings families, all with 3 numerals and a top picture card. Here are 3 rows dealt with random cards. Notice how there are 3 aces, 1 in each row. The randomly distributed aces are very important because they do not take part in the solitaire and are removed to create empty spots for base cards or other cards to occupy the position. Note how in this case, even the feather row has been dealt an ace that will be removed, as aces do not take part in the solitaire. This is the first of various feather rows that are dealt on top of each other and can sometimes block the use of cards left underneath. But if in some exceptional occasion the dealing pack does not reveal a single ace in any of the first 3 rows, and this do not have a corresponding base card, no card moving is possible and the solitaire cannot be started. The only solution is start again after a good card mixing. In this instance, notice how the 4 aces have been removed to a side, creating empty spaces in the 3 family rows that can now accept base cards. The space in row 1 is filled with a 2 from row 3 and a 5 from row 1 stacked on that 2, creating another vacant location for another 2. The 2 of hearts moved to row 1 has now a 5 from the same row on top, with an 8 from row 3 and a jack from the feather row. They complete the stack of this jack family. Note also there are 2 twos in row 2, but only one vacant space created by the 5 in row 1. So the player has to decide which other 2 will be moved to its base location. The situation with the 3s is similar. There is 1 in row 1, 1 in row 3, and 2 in the feeder row, with only 2 vacant spaces in the base row 2. The next wise move of the 3 of clubs from row 1 to base row 2 is followed by stacking onto it the 6 from row 2, the 9 and the queen from the feeder row to complete a queen family of clubs. The move created a new empty space in row 1 to take the 2 twos of row 2 as base cards. The previous move has left 4 vacant spaces in row 2 to accommodate the 3 from row 3 and the 2 other 3s from the feeder row. And so far, because of all the available card shifts, the first feeder row has many empty slots and no second feeder row had to be dealt yet. At this stage, the 3s from row 3 and the feeder row are moved as base cards to row 2. Next, the 4s of diamonds and hearts from row 1 and 2 are moved to row 3 to start their respective stacks. Even the 7 of clubs from row 2 can be moved to row 3 and stacked on the 4. After no further movements are possible between the 3 rows and the feeder row, it is time to deal 8 new feeder cards on top of the previous ones, or the empty spaces. Then, after all moves from the second feeder row are completed, it is time to deal the 3rd row, and so on until all the stock cards are used up. After all card movements are completed, a second feeder row is dealt. Then the 5 of diamonds goes to the 2 of row 1, the 6 of hearts to the 3 of row 2, the 10 of clubs to the 7 of row 4, the king of clubs to the 10, completing that family, and finally the ace is taken out to the side. Following all previous card movements, the 3rd feeder row is dealt on top of all previous unused cards. 3 cards from this new feeder row can be relocated. The 2 of clubs to row 1, the 6 plus 9 of spades to row 2, and the queen from row 1 completes the family in row 2. Note how, after all 4th row feeder cards were moved to their new locations, the feeder rows show empty spaces and stacking of cards. This block cards by others on top can only be moved after the blocking card is removed. The 2 feather 2s go to row 1. The 3 goes to row 2, and the ace is taken out. The feather 5 of clubs goes to row 1 above the 2, as does the 5 of spades from row 1. Finally, the 7 and 10 of spades move to the 4 of row 3. Now, the obstructed feather cards, cleared by previous actions, are moved to their corresponding locations prior to dealing a new feather row. The 9 of hearts from row 3 goes to row 2 with the queen from the feather row. The 6 and 9 of diamonds from the feather row go to row 2. The king of spades goes to row 3 to complete the family, and the jack of diamonds goes to row 1, also making a family. The recently dealt cards of the 5th feather row can now be moved to their new locations. The 6 of hearts goes to row 2 above the 3. The 4 of spades moves to row 3. The 2 of spades goes to row 1. The ace is taken out to the side. The 8 of clubs goes on top of the 5 in row 1. The 7 of diamonds goes to row 3 over the 4. And the 4 of heart goes to row 3 as a base card. The 9 of hearts from row 3 goes to row 2, as does the queen. The king from row 1 moves to row 3, and the jack of clubs moves to row 1 to complete the family. After all previous moves are completed, the 6th feather row is dealt. The 5th and 8 of hearts go to row 1. The ace is taken out. The 2 of diamonds moves to row 1. The 9 of hearts goes to row 2. The 4 of clubs goes to row 3. The 3 of diamonds goes to row 2. The 5 of spades from row 3 to row 1. And the 7 of spades from row 2 moves to row 3. Next, the 7th feather row is dealt, and suitable cards are moved to new locations. The 4 of clubs from row 2 goes to row 3. The 4 of diamonds from the feather to row 3. The 3 of clubs from feather to row 2. The 8 of spades from feather to 5 on row 1. The 3 of spades from feather to row 2. The queen of hearts from feather to 9 of row 2. The jack of spades from feather to row 1. The 5 of diamonds from feather to row 1. The 6 of clubs from feather to row 2. Observe how those previously obstructed feather row cards are now clear to move to their corresponding family locations. The 9 of clubs goes to the 6 of row 2. The jack of hearts goes to the 8 of row 1. The 8 of spades goes to the 5 of row 1. The 6 of diamonds goes to the 3 of row 2. The other 6 of diamonds goes to the 3 of row 2. The 10 of diamonds goes to the 7 of row 3. The queen of clubs goes to the 9 of row 2. So far, most of the cards from feather rows 1 to 7 have been moved, and in some cases completed the family stacks. Only 5 cards remain unmoved in the feather row. After shifting all the unblocked cards from the feather rows, these 5 still remain. The 3 lower ones prevent the 9s from moving to row 2. Therefore, the 8th feather row is dealt to continue with the solitaire. These are the cards dealt to the 8th feather row that become available for moving now. The 5 of clubs goes to the 2 of row 1. The king of diamonds goes to the 10 of row 3. The 7 of hearts goes to the 4 of row 3. The jack of spades goes to the 8 of row 1. The other 7 of hearts goes to the 4 of row 3. The 10 of hearts goes to the 7 of row 3. The 9 of diamonds goes to the 6 of row 2. The 8 of clubs goes to the 5 of row 1. And the queen of diamonds to the 9 of row 2. Note how only a few cards from the earlier feather rows remain blocked, as the cards of the 9th feather row are dealt and moved. The 10 of hearts goes to the 7 of row 3. The 6 of spades to the 3 of row 2. The 7 of clubs to the 4 of row 3. The 7 of diamonds to the 4 of row 3, followed by the 10 of diamonds to the 7 of row 3. The king of hearts goes to the 10 of row 3, and the 9 of diamonds to the 6 of row 2. Finally, after the previous moves, deal the last feather row. The 8 of diamonds goes to the 5 of row 1. The jack of clubs goes to the 8 of row 1. The 10 of spades goes to the 7 of row 3. The queen of clubs goes to the 9 of row 2. The king of hearts goes to the 10 of row 3. The 10 of clubs goes to the 7 of row 3. The king of diamonds goes to the 10 of row 3. The king of clubs goes to the 10 of row 3. The queen of diamonds goes to the 9 of row 2. The 9 of spades goes to the 6 of row 2. The queen of spades goes to the 9 of row 2. The 9 of diamonds goes to the 6 of row 2. The jack of diamonds goes to the 8 of row 1. The queen of diamonds goes to the 9 of row 2. And the king of spades goes to the 10 of row 3. All the previous moves have completed the solitaire, and the cards show the 3 lines of families and the discarded aces. This complex solitaire needs careful and judicious movements when choices present themselves. Otherwise, the feather rows could block useful cards. In many cases, because of these, the solitaire will not resolve, and only perseverance achieves satisfaction.